Hello, last video in the series, slash played 4 days, 8 hours, 3 minutes, and 8 times. So, I'll play a map and then talk about my thoughts. I mostly roll maps by volleying them, and if they were double pack size like this, I would just run it maybe with Onslaught. So, 38k deeps, whirling blades, 197 modifier, and I'm using 3 sacrificial harvest. 1, 2, 3. So my thoughts on the character is overall it's like very powerful. I would rank it like top build or top 2 build along with Castle Crit Discharge. The weakness is, the bad part about it is you have to charge up Flame Blast like I'm doing right now every single map. Oh my god. Giant headache, and the tiny AoE is so small. You're hitting like nothing with Volmon Shell, and you have to use Elementalist to like buff it up. And I guess multi-phase bosses are just really annoying as well, so those 3 weaknesses are pretty bad. But even with that, the build's like really strong, so highly recommend. And the strengths are, you can do any map mod you want within reason. No like blood magic or cannot leech. You can't do those, but you can do all like this crazy stuff because your ES is going to be so high, or your character is going to be so powerful. So you can pull off all those crazy things. Let me switch my molten shell so I can prepare for dominoes. Like, this is what you have to do on multi-phase bosses. You have to prepare your molten shell, your second molten shell, because the molten shell soul count is saved on the gem per map. So if you put it on your inventory or whatever, it's still saved. And so that way you can save up molten shell stacks for dominoes or whatever boss you need to do. So yeah, this damage on like clear speed of the build is actually very respectable considering the price, and especially just in general, like how fast you can go. Just stack attack speed and you're like zooming through the map. I don't think I like did the build exactly right. If I were to like reiterate the build a second time, then I think I would play a little differently, stack heavily into attack speed and stuff like that. But this time around, I like just stacked ES and got like 13k with really high-end gear. So it's not a bad method. It's just I don't think it's the most efficient method. So in the future, I might consider stacking more attack speed. Maybe changing my flask setup because I'm using a mana flask right now. Try to figure out how to not use mana and uh, just use some other flask so I can use roomies. Right now, like if you take my mana flask is immune to curse. If you take that off and you put another one of the suffixes like freeze, bleed, or shock, I would say like freeze or bleed onto the flask, then you can use a roomies on another one, which is actually pretty good, or some other like unique flask, because you need the anti-freeze, anti-bleed, and anti-shock. I think those are really important. The only thing bad about it is that if you use like anti-shock, anti-freeze, you can't do chill ground mass very easily, but that's one of the options you can do. And I guess if I played it again, I would stack a lot of attack speed. So if you're following this in the future, the other thing to note is the Skull's Bridle may not be that cheap. So you may have to pay a little bit more to play it. But for now, in Parandis, Kadiro sells it for super cheap, so things are very easy to get, and the build is like cost effective because of that reason. But in the future, it might not be that cheap, and that's something you have to worry about. So let me show you the rest of the stats on this, and then talk about the binos situation. I think I would also want to try binos instead of dual consuming and use Infernal Mantle to get the 75 conversion. Just not really worry about reflect too much. Make sure you have like Aziris or maybe even Warlords, and just keep your mana solved somehow, and that might actually be really good AoE on top of the Elementalist, or trying some other stuff with the other class, Occultist. So that could be used in the future if you're considering this kind of build, but not doing exactly like this. So you can try experimenting with that, but for now, this is the iteration I did. I use AoE with void manipulation instead of controlled, because some person was like, oh, you know, you can try void manipulation for the poison. So I guess it helps a little bit. It doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you like. These are the jewels I use, and mostly just get 4 modules, maybe with resist or something like that. And I use triple sack harvest. You can use less if you want, maybe 1 or 0, but then you'll just have to spend most of the time in your in the beginning of the map charging up the flame blasts. So these are my resist. 169 is a cap for LA weakness, I think. So that's the character. I'll see you guys in the next series. If you have any other comments or questions, feel free to ask below. I might have missed something, so I'll get back to you eventually. And next build is going to be Low Life Wanderer, so see you then.